Hey, what's up, y'all? Gonna talk about something a little bit different today, and I'm gonna talk about how many times I actually failed studying and how I was able to keep on moving. I think this is a really important topic for me, at least, and mainly because I feel like a lot of advice out there, and when you watch a lot of videos, including mine, it's always about kind of the success, right? Or like tips and tricks on how you get to certain points. But nobody actually talks about how much they've actually failed to get to the point that they did. And I figure that this is an important one to talk about. And I want to tell you a little bit about, the story and concepts that I've had and how many times I've just like literally did nothing until I finally got myself and motivated myself to get up and go do something. So the reason why I thought about this is because I'm actually working on a AI project right now for my, just personal stuff, working on a fun little project. And I'm like 80% through it. And yesterday I was gonna go to the library, but I had some free time for the last 2 days, and I was gonna go to the library or even sit down at a desk and get some work done, and I just couldn't get myself to do it. And this just reminded me of the old days of when I was first learning programming and the struggle with even getting up and going. And I figured I'd share the story of that. So, I think I mentioned in some of my other videos, right? you know, I, I'm decently successful now, right? I have a really great engineering job. I'm a lead engineer. I have a real estate portfolio, that kind of stuff. But I want to tell you guys that I'm not any smarter or any or have anything special than the person next to me. I'm as average as it gets. It's just that personally I've worked on certain skills to be able to do things and to motivate myself and to work on things over time that's led me to be able to get things going and to make progress on things. I remember back in the day when I was first programming, right? I was working my construction job and I can't tell you how many days I just didn't even end up going to the library or studying or that kind of thing. And it was just so easy to not to, and totally understandable, right? You work a hard day, you have life happens, whatever it may be, family, friends, just being tired, chores. It's so easy just to not get that work in. It's so easy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was no different, especially when I ran across a hard topic, right? Day in, day out. I mean, I just remember like it sounds easy now, right? It sounds like, oh, I just went to the library and did some studying and I figured it out. But I mean, I had weeks go by where I didn't do any programming at all. And I just feel absolutely terrible about myself in the sense that I just didn't make any progress. I think at the end of the day, my thing was that I felt worse and worse every single time I missed the opportunity to go, work on the thing that I wanted to work on. And at the end, what I realize now is that even today, right, I think it's perfectly normal in human nature to not be grinding all day long. It's a really hard thing to be in the grind all the time. But what I've learned from this and what I learned during that period of time is like it's just about it's just about sparking the fire, right? Imagine if learning programming is sparking a fire, having a keeping a fire and keeping it going. And I I think that the biggest barrier in the very first place is to get that first spark, and then after that, it's like the fire is going, and then now it's just a matter of time of how long you want to keep it going. And I kind of see that that's kind of how learning was for it is for me. It wasn't this thing where I just like figured out a strategy, and just like went in on programming and just did nonstop programming for a year straight or 5 years straight or whatever it may be. It was just finding a way to create a spark. And then once I created a spark, which was already incredibly hard to do, next was just keeping the fire lit for as long as possible, whether that's a week, a month, or 2 months, or 2 days. I think that's really all that I come to terms with myself that I'm, able to do even till today. It's just that nowadays I've just gotten really, really good at sparking that that fire and getting it going. Whereas before, I just even had a hard time lighting a flame, right? And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because when it comes to this, right? Like I just remember those time periods where I just felt like a failure, right? In the sense that I didn't, and when I didn't go to the library or I didn't put in the work to do programming, and I watch videos of folks that's like it seems so easy to them, but I wanted you to know that it's not about that. Your life is gonna happen, and it's not gonna be easy. But if you can consistently find a way to keep a fire going, with keep that spark going, find weeks at a time or days at a time where you can create streaks of studying that kind of thing. You'll be better for it, and all that knowledge, I promise you, will compound. And whether you know it or you don't, it will just happen. And every time you're able to light that fire, and every time you're able to keep that fire going, it'll be easier. You'll build that knowledge on how to do that. You know, as you keep on doing it over and over again, and I promise it will get a little bit easier. I promise that you are good enough and smart enough to be able to do this. And in some ways, it doesn't even take a genius to be able to do it. It's just a matter of how often you're willing to just get out of that chair and go work on the thing that you want to work on. And so why I was thinking about this is because, you know, it's it's it was very hard for me to overcome that. It was very hard for me because I just simply thought I wasn't smart enough. And looking back, right now, looking at all this, it's the reason why I overcame this and got to the place that I am at today with programming specifically. It is not because I became any smarter. Yeah, I got smarter because I learned more things, but at the end, it was just being able to create repetition, keeping that fire going for weeks at a time, months at a time, and re-sparking that fire over and over again. And I think that, if you're in a place right now where you haven't been, doing as much studying or progressing on what you want to do, right? Try not to think about what it looks like from, you know 3 years from now or whatever, or a year from now, or the progress that you need to get to a certain space. Try to just get it going. Just try to get it going for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days. You got to start small, and I promise you, once you're able to get it going for 2 3 days, the next time you'll be able to get it for 4 or 5, right? Repetitions, competitive, you know repeated days of putting in work. Yeah, I just randomly thought of this topic, and I don't really have too much about it, but I think really the idea that I'm trying to nail here is that, um, folks that gain success, like the success that I gain, isn't because um, of anything special. It's just the will to keep on going, and the amount of times I fail, is 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 a crazy amount, right? Like it didn't just happen one day, or like I didn't just magically was smarter than the next person in programming. It was mainly because I just kept on failing, and then after a while I just stopped failing at it, and that's essentially it. And um, I believe in you if you're out there trying to make it happen for yourself. Don't give up. Try to spark that fire. Just, even if you can get out for 2 days, one day, whatever it may be, just get out, get it going, spark that fire, get that fire going, and try to keep it lit. That's it. All right, have a good one.